Hey, I'm Srini, the creator of Maximize Your Output with Mem. Do you have a brilliant idea that you've been struggling to turn into published content? Maybe it's an idea for a podcast, a blog, a book you want to write. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how you can use Mem to streamline your content creation process and go from idea to publication faster than you ever thought possible. Now, let's get to the tutorial. So what I want to do in this video is show you how you can use a combination of collections, MemChat, and SmartWrite to go from idea to published content. And in this case, we are going to use a blog post as an example. And the first thing that you're going to want to do is to create a collection, which I've already done here. So I'm going to just open up this collection on the sidebar here. And you can see here that it basically has a bunch of different articles and notes on collections, including podcast transcripts and a bunch of other things. And the reason that we want to create a collection in advance is that it actually saves us a ton of time. So instead of gathering all your notes and adding the bidirectional links manually, this way when you're referencing those notes using MemChat or SmartWrite, you can just reference the collection instead of having to reference every single note individually. So when you're creating this collection, there are a couple of different things you can do. Just based on the title of the collection, Mem will suggest different notes that you could add to it. So if you go over here and we scroll to the bottom here, you can see that I've created this collection here. And you can see that it actually recommends certain notes as well. But you can also just search, which I think is usually the best thing. So like I find that if it's a topic that you're writing about, you just search for the key term. So in this case, we just search the word decision, and pretty much anything that is related to decisions comes up here. So then we can just add those. So we've got a pretty solid collection of notes here to start with. Like I said, which includes a combination of book notes, podcast transcripts, literature notes, and any other permanent notes and insights that I've come up with on my own. So let's go back to our step-by-step outline here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to generate an outline from the collection that we've just created. And I was testing this out earlier, and there were a few things that didn't quite work, so I simplified it a bit. So Tiago Forte recommends creating an archipelago of ideas, which is basically just a collection of all the notes that you might want to use. And again, that's just one way to do this, but this actually eliminates the need for creating an archipelago of ideas because of the fact that it actually will automatically generate the outline for you. So we're going to do two things here. We're going to create two different versions of the outline. We're going to have one which is going to be created by MemChat. And the reason I want to do two different versions of this outline is I noticed that when I had MemChat create it, it just put all the titles of my notes under the outlines, which is great because I want the titles of those notes incorporated into this. But when I did it with SmartWrite, it actually didn't do that. So first, let's go ahead and generate an outline using SmartWrite and Edit. So one of the reasons that I like to have these prompts written in advance is for the sake of accuracy, because if you mistype something or SmartWrite doesn't understand what you're talking about or anything else, what ends up happening is that it won't understand what you're referring to. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this prompt and I'm going to paste it into MemChat. And you can see here that it actually gave me this earlier, and I just want to show you how it works, but I did exactly the same thing before. So you can see here that I was actually even having a conversation with it about some of the issues that I was having. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this into the collection here, or into MemChat here. And so what it's going to do is it's going to take various notes of mine, and you can see here it basically is using the different notes that I have. So I'm going to just copy this really quick. And what I want to do here is I'm going to go ahead and just paste this down below here so that we have it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to create a more detailed version of the outline. And you can see here I've already written the prompt as well. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just press the slash key and let SmartWrite and Edit generate this outline for me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take both of these outlines and I'm going to combine them together. So I want to incorporate all of this as well because it actually references my notes. So what I'm going to do is basically say incorporate these bullets under the appropriate headers. So I'm going to highlight that text and I'm just going to say
incorporate from this under the appropriate headers. And then what it'll do is it'll revise the outline, and basically it will allow me to incorporate all of those different things. So we're going to go ahead and just replace that there. And now you can see it's kind of mangled this a little bit. So what I'm going to have it do now instead is say, okay, expand this outline to be a bit more detailed. 4 bullets under each header. And 2 sentences below each header to explain topics to be covered. And so now you can see it's giving us quite a bit more detail in terms of this outline. So now, in a matter of about 6 minutes, we've created a collection for an article we want to write using our existing notes. We have created a comprehensive outline so that we can start writing. And if we wanted to, one of the things that we can do here is we can actually start to link some of the different notes that we have that were mentioned here before. So, for example, we might have different notes. So I know for a fact that I have notes titled Decisions with Disproportionate Impact, and you can see here that it basically mangled some of it. But now what we can do is we can just start to go ahead and link all of these notes. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, again, put this together. And I'm going to talk about opportunity cost, because I know that is something that I have something about, and basically I have a bunch of different things. So one thing that we can do here is, because of the fact that these notes are written in my own words already, what I can do is tell SmartWrite to say, take the content from linked notes and turn into 3 paragraphs. And then what it'll do is it will actually take the content inside of my notes, and it actually will rewrite them and reorganize them for me. And in a matter of a few seconds, I now have a section for this blog post. Now, keep in mind, when it comes to the AI, one thing I recommend is that you still write things in your own words. Part of the reason this works well is because of the fact that I have all these notes that are already written in my own words. Whereas if you depend on just the AI, as we talked about in one of the previous tutorials where I talked about humanizing your content and making it sound like it wasn't written by AI, the key to that is having a lot of notes that are already written in your own words. So you can see here that it kind of mangled this a little bit in terms of saying what we're going to talk about. And so what I could do is just say, okay, rewrite this as the actual content, and say rewrite as paragraphs for a blog. And so basically what we're doing is going through a bunch of iterations here. And so every now and then, you can see that it doesn't necessarily come out perfectly, but it gives you a starting point where you can go and modify it however you see fit using similar AI prompts. And again, you can see here that some of it got right, some of it didn't, but it's pretty impressive that you can go from basically, starting out with nothing but an idea, a collection of different notes, and turn it into a fairly comprehensive outline for writing a blog post. So that's basically how you go from idea to published content. So let's go back and recap all the steps here. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you want to create a collection where you're going to add all the different notes that might be related to the topic that you're covering. Then what you're going to do is you're going to generate 2 different outlines, one using Mem.ai and another using SmartWrite. And then what you're going to do is you're going to combine those 2 outlines together. And again, the reason that we do that is because of the fact that SmartWrite, for some reason, didn't reference the actual titles of my notes, whereas Mem.ai did. And so this gives us a pretty good starting point just using all the various notes that we had inside of that collection. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below.